Board. Mr. Freeman.
All right, please. Bow your heads. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we're so thankful to be here today in the town of Walden to serve this town with our best abilities. We ask that you be with each and every one of us tonight as we go through this meeting and allow us to act accordingly with ethical standards in place. These things we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The civility pledge, I pledge to build a stronger and more prosperous community by advocating for civil engagement, respecting others and their viewpoints, and finding solutions for the betterment of my city or town. Civility, respect, solutions. Thank you. I'd like to call to order the January 5th, 2026 meeting of the Town of Walden Board of Zoning Appeals, also known as the BZA. The board members who will hear the case tonight are Mr. Gary Freeman, Mrs. Willette Alston Hockaday, Mr. John Brubaker, and myself, Alan Reed. Staff members present are Town Administrator Catherine Watkins, Planning Director Daniel O'Hara, Planning Secretary Takia White, and Town Attorney Matt McQuillan. First order of business is approval of the minutes. We've not had a meeting with unapproved minutes, so there are none. Second order of business is old business, and there's no old business pending before the board. Before we dive into the new business, I'd like to take a moment to explain the workings of the BZA. The Board of Zoning Appeals is a quasi judicial body established to interpret and grant relief from the zoning ordinance adopted by Town Council on December 7, 2000, and as amended. The Board of Zoning Appeals has jurisdiction over three types of cases: appeals, variances, and special exceptions. Tonight, we will hear an appeal and a variance, and I'll briefly explain. With respect to appeals, appeals are heard regarding administrative actions or decisions by the zoning administrator or staff and require a 2/3 vote of the quorum present to overturn the zoning administrator's decision. A variance may be granted when strict application of the zoning ordinance would cause an unnecessary hardship. This board's actions must be based on specific standards as contained in the South Carolina Local Government Planning Enabling Act of 1994 and the Town of Allendale zoning ordinance. A 2/3 vote is required to grant a variance. Because the hearing tonight is a public fact-finding meeting, we are in compliance with the Freedom of Information Act and South Carolina Code 6-29-7. 15 days prior to this hearing, an announcement was printed in the Post and Courier, and a sign was posted on the designated property. People, organizations, and the news media that have requested a declaration of our meeting have also been notified. The Freedom of Information Act does not require notification of anyone other than the applicant and parties of interest. Our purpose tonight is for interested parties to be heard in order to assist the board in gathering evidence pertinent to each case. If the members of the BZA feel the need for further information to clarify a case, the board has the authority to subpoena witnesses. In addition to your testimony, our board has been presented written information submitted to the staff by the applicant or their agent for each case. This information is now considered to be evidence and is entered into the permanent record of this body. It is assumed that it is complete, true, and accurate. Also, we have been presented with data assembled by the staff for the purpose of clarifying the location and the effect on surrounding property. Our board is empowered to approve, approve with conditions, or to deny the request. We are also authorized to defer a case should there be a need to obtain additional information. If an applicant's request is approved, the applicant must go to the office of the Allendale Town Planning Department on Door Road for a permit. However, if an applicant's request is disapproved and they wish to appeal the decision of this board concerning their case, appeals must be addressed to the circuit court. South Carolina Code 6-29-820 states that the applicant must file the appeal within 30 days after the decision of the board is mailed to them. Failure to file an appeal within the time limit deprives the court of the jurisdiction to hear the matter. Because this is a quasi judicial body, everything said in this meeting must be complete, true, and accurate. All of the information provided to the BZA is considered evidence, and this board may certify contempt to the circuit court if false statements are made either in writing or orally. Because of this, each person who wishes to address the board must be sworn in. In order to expedite the procedure, we'll request those wishing to speak to please stand as a group, and the town attorney will administer the oath.
If you plan on presenting the public comments, if you could please stand, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I swear to tell the truth.
Swear to tell the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, on to new business. Before us tonight, we have application number 2510-03. A request for an appeal to an administrative decision and a 12,807 square foot variance to the residential zoning district minimum lot size without public water or sewer. Before we move into the staff presentation, turn the floor over to Ms. Willett.
Good evening to the Allendale Planning Department. In keeping with the ethical standards of the Board of Zoning Appeal, because I have family ties connected to this matter, I respectfully recuse myself from participating to ensure transparency and preserve public confidence in the decision-making process. Thank you.
Thank you. The record will reflect that board member Mrs. Willett Elston Hockaday has disclosed a conflict of interest and is recusing herself from this agenda item. The member will step away from the dais and will not participate in discussion or voting. Staff, please note this recusal in the minutes.
You can say, please say.
We will confirm that a quorum remains in proceed accordingly. We should do a roll call. Mr. Freeman here. Alan Rio, myself here. Mr. Brubaker here. Ms. Willett Alston Hockaday. Present, and recused. Sorry, I got that a little bit out of order. All right, at this point, we'll hear from the staff regarding this application. So, Mr. O'Hara.
Thank you. Good evening. As Alan indicated, the application that you're hearing before you tonight is 2510-03, a request for an appeal to administrative decision and a 12,807 square foot variance to the residential zoning district minimum lot size without public water or sewer. The applicant is Tyler Capers. His agent, Matt McCauley, is here tonight. The address of the subject property is at 3018 Jesse Beagle Way, just located off of Highway 17 and near Borchet School Road, as indicated in the staff report. Current zoning is residential. As I indicated, there's an appeal to administrative decision and a 12,807 foot square variance to the residential zoning district minimum lot size without public water or sewer. To go into the background behind the subject property, this is an existing parcel that was part of an approved minor subdivision plat of 4 lots. The lot was approved on June 4th, 2025, then recorded on June 16th, 2025, and the applicant obtained the property on or around July 16th, 2025. The subject property, which is depicted on the approved subdivision plat indicated as Exhibit D, shows the lot size as 17,193 square feet or 0.39 acres. At the time of the application, the proposed subdivision, the lots were designed to exceed the residential zoning district minimum lot size with available public water of 12,500 square feet. This minimum lot size requirement was later amended by ordinance 2025-07 on May 20th, 2025, making these 4 lots legal nonconformities. The subject property is accessible by Jesse Dingle Way, a 20-foot private ingress egress easement from Highway 17. The easement is currently unimproved and no zoning permits have been issued for its improvements. On October 13th, 2025, the applicant applied to construct a new single-family residence proposed to be served by a private well and individual on-site wastewater system or septic system. The applicant provided a site plan showing the new residence septic system and proposed well. During the review of the application, town staff issued a letter informing the applicant that in order to grant authorization of the construction, the proposed new single-family structure, it would need to connect to the town's water system. I will add that our water consultant, Ron Bycroft, is present to answer any questions about the water service, and I'll now move into staff's findings. Number 1, the subject property's lot size was approved under the minimum lot size requirement with public water service of 12,500 square feet. The subject property is a legal non-conforming lot following an amendment to increase the residential zoning district minimum lot size with public water service from 12,500 square feet to 21,500 square feet. The subdivision of the plat was approved with notations outlining that, quote, these lots will be serviced by public water with meters clustered at the highway right-of-way. The main water extension, permitting, and construction and services to each lot shall be at the property owner's expense. No public utility easement dedication is needed or proposed. 3, no infrastructure has been installed on the property to supply water service to the subject property. 3, this is 4. The subject property does not meet the residential zoning district minimum lot size without available public water or sewer. A variance of 12,807 feet to the residential zoning district minimum lot size without public water or sewer is required in order for the applicant to use private well in lieu of public water service. For the board's consideration this evening, as presented, the board is hearing 2 requests. Those are an appeal of an administrative decision on zoning matters to withhold the issuance of a zoning permit until water service is available to the subject property to satisfy the minimum lot size zoning requirements. And second, a 12,807 square foot variance to the residential district minimum lot size without public water or sewer. To review those 2 options, the board may, when reviewing applications for appeals to administrative decisions, the Board of Zoning Appeals may reverse an order, requirement, decision, or determination if it was made in error as it pertains to the enforcement of the zoning ordinance. When considering variances, when reviewing applications for variances, the Board of Zoning Appeals may grant a variance only if exceptional circumstances exist, and where practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship is so substantial, serious, and compelling that relaxation of the general restrictions ought to be granted. No variance shall be granted unless the applicant can show, and the Board of Appeals shall find the following conditions. Chairperson, I can read those aloud, or
I think we can forego those.
Okay.
We have those documented.
yes. Okay, the attachment that correspond with staff's report this evening, it would be Exhibit C, Exhibit D, Exhibit E, Exhibit F, G, and H, which is Those are indicated on the end of the staff report. And then following staff report, there is a full exhibit list which outlines which each exhibit is. As I mentioned, the applicant is here, or the agent for the applicant, Matt McCollum, is here to answer questions.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, the applicant or his agent, care to make a presentation?
Certainly. Try to quickly summarize my lengthy document. As has been mentioned previously, I have a client who has acquired from an immediate family member a substandard relation.
Can I interrupt you?
Certainly.
Can we get your
Name
name?
and address, Matt McCauley, 171 Church Street, Suite 340, Charleston, South Carolina, 29301.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, I should use that. I do this all the time, I should know that. So I have a client who acquired from an immediate family member a substandard legal non-conforming lot. It's accessed by an egress easement to North Highway 17. In the course of seeking to develop the property, we've determined that there is not public water or sewer readily available to the property or easily attainable to the property or affordably attainable to the property. As I understand, our options in getting water service to the property either involve extending a water service beneath Highway 17, which would be exorbitant in cost, time frame, a lot to do. There's also a water main that exists roughly 300 foot from our point of entry, legal entry to our property, that could be extended to Jesse Dingle Way. But at that point, my client does not currently have the rights to extend water or sewer infrastructure through that easement. It's prescribed for ingress and egress purposes. In this case, I think our clear hardship is obviously that the services are not available or easily attainable. And so that in order for them to be able to build a home on this property, it would require either approval of lot size variance to accommodate our existing lot record without public water sewer service, or to the point of the appeal, with that these being considered jointly. So should we?
Well, we'll consider them separately.
Okay, so I won't speak to that.
Well, no, you go ahead.
Okay,
Can we deal with?
Yeah, I think we'll probably deal with them in motion separately, but if y'all want to, I think her presentation was on both here. I think we'll just go this quick.
so I feel like in some ways the ordinance has been possibly misinterpreted as far as requiring water service be extended to the property in order to develop our legal non-conforming lot. My contention in that, pretty simply put, is that the reason that lot is substandard is because it doesn't have water or sewer. I think we can all agree that sewer is many miles away from the subject property, not even remotely feasible to extend to this property. And the lot is made no more non-conforming by the fact that it doesn't also have public water accessible. I feel as though the town erred in approving a plat with lots that were substandard at the time and subsequently more substandard by recent events such that. I'm happy to entertain any questions.
I think we've got a section for asking questions.
Okay.
Once we hear the complete, everybody that wants to.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, all right, move on to any interested individuals in favor of the application. Any person who supports the application will be permitted 3 minutes to speak. However, the chair may limit comments to less than 3 minutes. If several people want to speak, the chairman will recognize people to speak, and any question must be directed to the chair. No questions may be directed to the applicant. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of the application at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to individuals' interest or in opposition to the application. Again, any person who opposes the application will be permitted 3 minutes to speak. However, the chair may limit comments to less than 3 minutes if several people want to speak. The chair will recognize people to speak, and any question must be directed to the chair. No questions may be directed to the applicant. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition to the application?
Chairperson, if I may, the written comment that was submitted to you, if you wanted to start with that one.
Susan, do you want to speak?
I do, maybe a little more than 3 minutes, we were gonna divide our comments up based on.
Okay.
But I'm happy to take Lynn's time as well. That's what
All right, well, if you want your comments read into the record, is your preference that is read into the record, or are you gonna address them publicly? That's,
I'm gonna address them.
okay, I think we can forego that, first one. Okay, Lynn,
My voice might give out. My name is Lynn Vickery. I live at 8470 Door Road. And I believe this variance should be denied for the following reason. One, an appeal of administrative decision. In order to appeal the decision, the applicant must show that the planning administrator made a mistake. He did not make a mistake, as the zoning ordinance clearly states that a lot this size must have public water. The plat states that the property owner is responsible for bringing water to the site and that the cost must be borne by the property owner. Variance. The rules for variance state that no variance shall be granted unless the applicant shall show the following. A, there are extraordinary conditions pertaining to this property. This condition has not been met. There is nothing extraordinary about this plot of land. The approved plat states that the lots are subdivided subject to the connection to public water. If they do not connect to public water, then this use is not allowed under the zoning regulations in place at the time of application. B, these conditions do not apply to other properties in the vicinity. This condition has not been met. The same zoning regulations would apply to any other new construction in this area. C, application of the zoning ordinance to this lot would prohibit or restrict the utilization of the property. This condition has not been met. The property can indeed be used for a single-family dwelling as long as it is connected to public water per the zoning ordinance. And D, granting a variance will not be detrimental to surrounding properties. This condition has not been met, as there will indeed be a detrimental effect on 3 adjacent properties, as the 75-foot private well setback extends well into the 3 adjacent properties, which will affect their ability to build, as the 75-foot setback must be maintained for the placement of any septic tank. This variance will restrict what those owners could put on their lots. Susan, my voice is shut. That's our life. Happily continue, again, going through
are
the,
you speaking on behalf of Lynn?
no, I'm speaking on behalf of myself. But, she. You said you were just.
All right, so you've concluded your remarks.
It's concluded my.
Susan, that's the name and address.
Susan Watts, 09 Rutter Lane, Ottawa. And continuing in these, the list of the items that the BCA must consider for the granting of a variance. Letter F would be the fact that the property may be utilized more profitably. That's not a grounds for variance. And this variance would indeed result in a greater profit to the owner because the building costs would be reduced. And they could then sell and make a higher profit upon the sale of this property. And as you guys know, a variance goes with the land. So this property owner could sell this to another person at a higher profit for this variance to be granted. G, the need for the variance shall not be the result of the applicant's own actions. This variance request, I believe, is the result of the applicant's own actions. His failure to perform property diligence upon the purchase of the property. The plat states that the property owner is responsible for bringing water to the site and that the cost will be borne by the property owner. It's therefore a result of this applicant's own action that this request for variance is required. H, granting the variance will not adversely affect other property in the vicinity, as Lynn stated. The 75-foot well setback, since the well's on the corner of the property, extends into 3 other adjacent properties. And it will definitely affect what they're able to do, because you still have to observe that 75-foot setback. Finally, the granting of the variance does not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan. This condition has not been met, as this variance would be in conflict with the comprehensive plan. Town of Owendo recognizes that allowing many septic tanks on small lots can have detrimental effects on the water quality in the town. The recognition of this danger to public health and safety prompted the increase of lot sizes to protect all the residents in the town from the danger that too many septic tanks pose to our local groundwater and our wells. The comprehensive plan action plan clearly states in goal G, goal H, goal K, that the town will revise zoning to limit damage from development. It will identify actions to protect water quality and modify density regulations to preserve the rural density of the town. So I believe that granting this ordinance would definitely be in conflict with the comprehensive plan. So I ask that you deny this variance, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Before we move on, I'd like to note that Ms. Cox had submitted an email document to the planning manager on Friday, January 2nd, so we'll make this part of the record. Since you've covered most of it with your consent, I'd like to not spend time reading it in the record. Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Andrew? Name and address.
Angela Fraser, 7854 Bay Drive, Montauk, 29429. I would like to request that the BZA withhold the issuance of a zoning permit until water service is available to the property to satisfy the minimum lot size requirement. I thought I would get 2 minutes to speak, so I cut my speech considerably and only chose to address 4 or 5 of the 9 items. And I would also request that the reasons that this variance should be denied are as follows. A, concerning extraordinary and exceptional conditions. This lot is required to connect to town water at an owner's expense. It's the owner's responsibility to do his due diligence prior to purchasing the lot, not the town's responsibility to grant the variance on these circumstances. B, the conditions do not generally apply to the property in the vicinity. Once again, due diligence on the part of the owner to research accessible water on frontage road and what the requirements are. Any comparable lots in this area would also be subject to the same rules. D, the variance would be of substantial detriment to the public good. The town has ordinances in place to protect all landowners, and if one variance is authorized, it sets a terrible precedent for future applicants. The ordinance and bond agreements require that this lot, which is 1 of 4 to connect the town water. It appears that the landowner is attempting to circumvent the system, and that is a terrible precedent. G, the need for the variance shall not be the result of the applicant's own action. Again, the owner's due diligence was not complete. The need for the variance is due to the owner refusing to pay to have the water connected. The town is responsible for upholding all ordinances and all zoning for the town to be good stewards of all citizens' rights. H, granting the variance will not be contrary to the public or the neighborhood interest. Approving this variance would be contrary to public by setting a precedent for other variance applications for the same reason. This was approved under the minimum lot size with public water for lots ranging from 12,500 to 21,500. The owner should be aware of requirements for the town of Owendo. Additionally, as stated previously, the 75-foot well setback does extend into adjoining properties, which would potentially interfere with their planned well and or septic field because they would not be able to adjust their times. Based on the zoning ordinance, the applicant is required to meet all 9 requirements, which he does not. I encourage you the BZA to deny the variance request at this time and ensure that all citizens of Owendo are held to the same standards. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Okay, is the applicant here to, reply to any of the opposition statements made?
I'll say a couple of real brief points. First and foremost, I think it's important that the board remember and take into consideration that while there are zoning ordinances in place adopted by council, that it's also the venue of this board to hear hardship cases, which is exactly what we've presented. Unfortunately, I think the town was remiss in approving the plat with adding simple links on the plat. It is not necessarily an oversight on our part. That's really not proper way for a town to conduct business. I think the town has some complicity in that, and I would implore you to consider that, particularly considering our appeal. Lastly, as to the required separation between wells and septic systems, I will give in that or concede that there is some impact on the locations of septic systems and wells on neighboring lots, as there always is with using wells and septic systems. In this particular case, I can confidently say that there are locations for septic systems and wells on all adjoining parcels that meet those requirements without any requests for variance from offsets from DES. I actually co-own a development company where we have subdivisions of hundreds of lots that are half of the size of the subject parcel of this here that have both wells and septics, and it's accommodated very easily. Having offsets in excess of those requirements through careful planning. Obviously, the first one in always has, kind of completed with that. And that's the place that we're at today.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion to, close the case to the public. Okay, we get a second.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Okay, we have a vote, Mr. Freeman,
Aye.
Mr. Brubaker. Excuse me. So we're voting on the motion. Yes. And to close the public portion, yes. Aye. Yes. And myself is aye as well. Right, before we start deliberation, we have a executive session planned, so we'll go into executive session pursuant to South Carolina Code 30-4-70 A2 for the purposes of receiving legal advice protected by the attorney-client privilege concerning the BZA appeal. I think we're gonna go to the conference room. I'd ask the applicant and our water person, would you mind staying for us? No. Because we'll deliberate after this, and I think Matt's in place.
I have one bit of information, strictly information for the council to deal with reference to the cost of this water system extension. The cheapest.
We need to hold that until we come back from executive session, which is why I was, can you stay? Okay, thank you.
We probably need to make a motion to go into
Yeah,
executive session,
okay.
but you stated the purpose and everything, so you're good on that.
We have a motion.
I make a motion that we go into executive session.
Second. We have a vote.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're in executive
Hey, you're live.
We have a motion to return from executive session.
I'll make a motion that we return from executive session.
Second. Right, moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Please note for the record, there were no action or votes taken in the executive session.
All right, at this point in the meeting, the board will engage in deliberation. So members of the board can direct questions to the chairman or staff. Members should wait to be recognized by the chair. Chairman reserves the right to end each question after 3 minutes and may also participate in the discussion. If a member requires additional information from the applicant, they should make the request to the chair. So, if you'd like to apply.
I have a question for the applicant.
Okay,
Were you aware of the plot requirements?
Me, you want me to come to the podium or? Me personally, I was aware at the time that we made application or shortly thereafter, we made application for a zone permit to the towns. I cannot speak to my client's knowledge, but I believe that I'm the one who informed him. I believe that's the first he was aware.
Could I ask as far as the application for the zoning permit,
Yes.
when was that?
Do you have that in the right? I think he's got it.
I think it was in the staff letter. It was submitted on. My letter was dated October 23rd. The application was submitted on, that was the 13th, wasn't it? Let me. Yes, October 13th, 2025.
any other questions? No, I don't have any. I do have a question for our water. Is water available, is service available to this property?
To answer that, if I look at it from the standpoint of what the water regulations are, if a piece of property is within 300 feet of the water main, then they're supposed to tie into that. In this case, that's across Highway 17. And that's 175 feet of US highway right of way that it is not going to be cheap crossing. So I don't know how the town council would act on that or not. I've got quotes to do it. The cheapest quote I got is $21,000. The highest one was $35,000. And that's not going to be cross 17. That's going to be Porsche School Road running 320 feet down the side of 17 to the property.
Okay, so at Porsche's, there is water on that side.
There's an 8-inch PVC water main on Porsche School Road, and across is right there, and there's a fire hydrant on that corner right there.
Okay.
And so we could tie into that 8-inch main with a 3 or 4-inch line and run it down to their property, which is about 320 feet.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chairperson, if I may, that requirement is not within the zoning code, it's separate outside of that, just out of clarification.
There was more informational than anything else. Right, okay, any other questions of the applicant or the staff?
I'd like to ask Mr. Bycroft another question relating to the water. What impact would running one line have on the other three properties that are in front of the one that we're discussing this evening?
One property on the corner of Porsche School Road and 17 is vacant. I think they can have the material on it. But the next lot over is a nice brick home and stuff. And I know the people that are there because they were in my church for many years. And Sam is a retired owner of a gas station and stuff, and his wife was on the choir at church and stuff. They have a well, they have water, they have a septic tank. They don't need it, but it would put water available to that property. And under the circumstances, it would require them to tie into the water line.
Okay, that's not really what I was asking. What I was talking about were there were three other undeveloped pieces of property.
Just beyond it?
In this plat, in the plat that we're talking about. That were
Yes.
part of the original plat.
Yes,
This one is the fourth one, I guess, off of Highway 17.
right.
If those are developed. Is there an impact on the water service one way or another?
Somebody has to pay the $20,000 to $35,000 to run a water main down there for me to tie onto, because I can't set a meter without the main being there.
Okay.
All right, okay. Then question for the agent.
Yes.
So it's been asserted that a well would be, that the setbacks required for the well would impede on the surrounding property. You think you stood up here and made a statement? I wasn't clear about your statement, so could you clarify that?
Yeah, certainly. So I believe the comment that you're referring to is as part of common due diligence, like when we're doing development projects, we will, that are gonna involve an individual septic system and a private well. We often will do a schematic drawing wherein we ensure that there are placements of those that meet the required minimum setbacks from DES, just to ensure that everything works out. We're not creating further need for variances from DES. In this particular case, I do not have that with me, but we will go through and figure out placements that met the required 75-foot offset between a private well and a septic system, as well as the minimum offset in the septic system to property lines and the well to property lines, to ensure that we were not going to create another hardship for adjoining property owners.
That would be exhibit G. The well and the pipe issue. That's what you're referring to?
Well, that's specific to our property, not so much to the adjoining properties. Yeah, that was kind of the demonstration piece for our purposes, and we didn't. My off the cuff assumption is normally when I see larger lot sizes for lots that don't have water or sewer, is the reason for the larger lot sizes to accommodate those setbacks. So you don't create situations where you can't fit a septic system on property. And so that the purpose of that exhibit was to demonstrate we've proven otherwise in this case that it's not. It's just.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions for the applicant or the staff? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve or deny the appeal of the administrative decision. Can the chair make a motion?
Yeah, Chair.
All right, so I move to deny the appeal of the administrative decision. Need a second.
I'll second.
All right, moved and seconded, discussion regarding the motion to deny the appeal for the administrative decision. Comments?
Well, I think that the applicant, failed to meet the conditions of the zoning conditions. And, I think that the zoning, director did a very good job of delineating all of the, errors. And, that were not met by the applicant. And I support that entire list. I think they're prudent, they're well laid out, and I support those.
I agree with Mr. Brubaker. I think that, the question of lot size has been discussed a good bit, but clearly the zoning ordinance for residential zoning requires a minimum of 30,000 square foot lot for, in order to have an independent well and septic system, and this clearly does not meet that. Never did it meet that. Okay.
Okay, so, to, sort of echo that, I think that the zoning administrator's decision was proper. The, lot size, well, it's legally non-conforming, would have been when it was platted. And the plat indicated that, water, would be added. So his decision to, withhold the, permit until the zoning requirement is met, which is water run to the, proper property, was proper for the reasons delineated in the staff findings. So my, position is that this was a proper decision and the motion should be denied. Any other comments?
No.
All right, so let's move the question. An aye vote means that you are in favor of denying the appeal.
I vote aye.
I vote aye.
And I vote aye as well. That is a 3-0 vote. The appeal on the administrative decision is denied. Right, Chair will entertain a motion to approve or deny the variance request.
I vote to deny,
You move to
move to deny,
the variance request.
yes.
Second.
second.
Okay, so we moved and seconded. There's a motion to deny the variance request of 12,807 square feet. To the residential zoning district minimum lot size without public water or sewer. So we can, discussion. Probably ought to, zoning requirement or the ordinance. For variance has, elements A through I. It's probably worth taking each of these elements and determining whether or not the applicant meets the element. There's a requirement that all elements do that. So any discussion about element A, which is there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property.
I find them.
Okay,
I agree, yeah.
okay. All right, so we find that there are no extraordinary or exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property. There are several immediately adjacent properties that have the very same conditions. Element B, these conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity.
I agree with that,
That it is not met.
right, it's not met.
Is that what you're saying? I don't
Yeah.
like what we're-
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I agree.
All right, I also agree that element B is not met, that these conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. As I mentioned, there are other property that are co-located in the same general area with the same conditions. Element C, because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. Do you find the C is met or unmet?
I don't think it's been met, or it hasn't been met, because you can still develop the property with a single family residence.
I agree, it does not affect it.
I would agree that element C is not met, with the additional water, town water to the property can be, further developed. Element D, the authorization of the variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property or the public good. And the character of the zoning district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. You find that that element's been met or not met.
I don't think it's been met.
Okay, that you have rationale.
Well, I think, you know, as it was stated earlier, this happens to be the first of perhaps 4 developed lots, and it's going to have some impact on the other lots. Possibly to some detriment with regard to location of the actual built residence, well, and septic. you know, with this specifically the septic, not the septic locations.
Yeah, I think there's been clear testimony that there would be adverse effect on other properties.
Okay. Element E, the Board of Zoning Appeals shall not grant a variance. Of the effect of which would be to allow the establishment of use not otherwise permitted in a zoning district to extend physically a non-conforming use of land or to change the zoning district boundary shown on the official zoning map. Is even met or not met?
I'm not sure that that's relevant to this case, to this issue.
Okay. So. He has been met then? I mean, it doesn't establish anything new.
That would be correct.
Okay,
Yes,
I would agree.
yes.
Yeah, I find that generally confusing to this application.
Well, in this particular case, I think that, I think that, it doesn't, it's not applicable it doesn't adversely impact the decision in this case, so I think that the element, can stand. Element F, the fact that the property may be utilized more profitably should a variance be granted, may not be considered, grounds for variance. Opinions on whether it's been met or unmet.
Hmm. Anyone? You know, I don't think that item's been met, that it's, I,
Okay,
I think that feeds into the reason to deny this.
okay. So I think that, the plat requirement, calls for, when subdivision was designed, the plat requirement indicates that water will be provided to the property. So on that premise, the land, there's no additional profitability if water is run to the land, it can be developed appropriately.
Yeah, it's not applicable to the application.
Yes.
And that clearly, the cost of development has been discussed, has been brought up. And there would be an expense in bringing the water with it. There would be an expense in drilling well, it's just a cost, it's not.
Well, I'd add on that, additionally, the plat clearly indicated that water would be, would the cost of water would be borne by the lobby.
And it would be, in my opinion, a financial concession to the applicant.
Right.
And
So efforts on that.
it was approved this application.
Right, item G, the need for the variance shall not be the result of the applicant's own action.
I don't think that applies. Well, I think that it does apply because there was a lack of due diligence here. As far as reading, looking at the plat, being knowledgeable of what was going to be required of them if they developed this piece of property.
I would agree that it was clearly marked on the plat, so due diligence will reveal. Item H, granting the variance will not be contrary to the public or neighborhood interest, nor will not adversely affect other property in the vicinity or interfere with the harmony, spirit, intent, and purpose of this article.
I think it will affect some of the adjacent properties with the, location of the well and the septic system, the 75 feet that we've been talking about. It's going to drive some of the future developments.
I agree.
And then item I, granting of the variance does not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or purposes of this article.
Granting it would.
Yeah, and I would agree. I think we heard testimony that was presented in opposition that indicated that elements of the comprehensive plan would been conflicted with this variance. All right, so there are, do we need to, in your question for legal, do we need to indicate which of these are met or unmet? I mean, they're.
I think y'all kind of walk through and deliberate on it. There's a motion on the floor, I think, to deny the request of the variance. So unless there's, y'all can still discuss it and deliberate on it, or you can call a question.
Okay, so before I call the question, I would note that each of these elements from A through I need to be met, and there's multiples that we've determined are not met. So at that point, I'd like to call the question. So the vote or the motion is to deny the variance request, and I vote would be in favor of denying.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So that is a 3-0 vote to deny the variance request. Lost my paper.
Closing remarks.
Lost my paper. All right, Takia, do you have all of the information that you need recorded for motions? And
Yes, sir.
votes? Okay. All right, any closing remarks you care to make?
No.
No. Closing remarks, no. All right, I would point out that our February BZA meeting at this point will be to approve the minutes from this meeting. And then any additional case matter that may come before us. Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay,
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.